Hello, internet friends. Welcome back once again, and thank you all so much for joining me here today. I am really excited to get into this topic, and so I really don't want to kind of beat around the bush. This has been something that's been weighing heavily on my mind, and has been something that I have been kind of focusing on these last few weeks, and I think that it can be helpful to some of you guys. And so I wanted to get this out as quickly as possible, because the sooner I think it's out, the sooner someone may be able to find some use with the concept. So really the topic that we're going to be discussing today is the idea of kind of accepting blame or accepting personal responsibility for your situation. Learning to accept the reality of your situation based on your decisions, and then to dissipate the negatives that are associated with that, and to learn from some of the benefits that shifting your mindset to allow for this process to happen can really have, and how it allows you to hold on to more agency with your own decision-making process, and have a little bit more feeling of a connection to the decisions that you're making, the actions that you're taking, and the position that you're able to reach. So really what this comes down to is we kind of are conditioned societally to try and avoid the discomfort of being wrong. We seek out groups that tend to agree with us. We often put ourselves into these echo chambers where people we look for the groups that are going to agree with what we already believe. We tend to not push ourselves as much for learning new things and for forcing growth within ourselves. And it is very common for us to lean back from our own responsibility and point to other people and say, well, the reason I'm not where I want to be, or the reason that this thing is happening the way it is because of this action or this thing that I didn't have control over. And while that may be completely accurate, one of the most powerful quotes that I can think of, and I honestly don't know if I'm sure someone has said this, so I don't want to claim credit for it, but I didn't look it up or anything. The idea of, do you want to be right or do you want to get better? And it kind of touches on this idea that I may have talked about in a video maybe a few hundred videos ago of PLEs, or perfectly logical explanations. And this is something that I personally have struggled with in the past, where something goes wrong, the outcome that you were hoping for is just not present. Your expectations, your reality haven't matched up, and you can point to something that's very clearly potentially the reason why that happened. You can say, well, I didn't do the thing because of something else that got in the way. And you may be completely right in your analyzation of the situation, but when you completely release yourself of any responsibility for the outcome, you are also forfeiting all agency that you had in your own process. And accepting that there are going to be things that we can't control is part of the process, but it doesn't allow you to grow if you're more concerned with not accepting any of the blame than you are with actually looking for forward progress and seeking the personal growth that comes with it. So I'm challenging myself, and I would like to challenge anybody who's interested in this, who may struggle with a similar condition or situation. I challenge you to try and take responsibility for as much of your own situation as you can, to recognize that regardless of the things that you can't control, there are often things that you can control. And so when you accept more responsibility for your situation, it allows you the opportunity to learn and grow from your own mistakes. When you are stuck pointing a finger at someone else or something that was beyond your control and saying, that's the reason why this is happening to me, even if you are correct, that isn't something that you can change. You're sacrificing your own ability to improve your situation when you fall into that acceptance. And so I would just encourage you to take back some of your agency in the direction of your own life and goals by trying to take on more responsibility and being less quick to hide behind the external factors. I've been struggling a lot with some issues that I was having with my knee for the past month or few months, actually. And at first I wanted to look for any reason why I could point to and say, well, this is why this is happening, and it's, I'm not going to achieve the goals that I want to because of this thing. And that wasn't doing much for me. I had much more success in the recent weeks where I have been saying, well, this is the situation. I'm dealing with some frustrating stuff. I have this problem with my knee. And instead of saying, well, that's what's happening, and what's the point, I can't train, saying, this is the reality of the situation. What can I do to put myself in a better situation tomorrow or the next day? What's the thing that I can do right now that's going to benefit me moving forward, regardless of what is happening with my knee? And once you're accepting more responsibility for your own decisions and actions, it lets you actually impact change on your own life in the direction that you're trying to go. And I do want to make this important distinction. If you are taking this as, I should just accept all the blame for everything to the point where it becomes overwhelming with guilt, that's not helpful. To put so much of this on yourself, say, I'm responsible for all the bad things, that's not constructive. That's just as you're forfeiting just as much agency there by saying, well, it's all my fault, and you become obsessed with the guilt of whatever the outcome has been, that you are really pushed towards this negative mental space where you feel helpless or hopeless. You say, well, it's all my fault, so what's the point? A lot of people get to that kind of F it moment. Say, well, I'm already at this point, so F it. What's the point of doing any more? The real benefit of this process or this idea is you allow yourself to kind of step back in to the driver's seat of your own life and your own decisions, and say that even if regardless of the outcome, regardless of what may happen from this, the only thing that I can really control is my own concerted effort, and I'm accepting that reality. And so I'm going to make the decisions in this moment right now that are going to help me move towards that goal. And when it doesn't go well, or when I fail to meet the expectations I put on myself, I'm going to understand that there are likely things that I can learn from that situation, from that failure, and use to be constructive and implement them in the future, so that I can learn and grow from my failures instead of being scared of failing. Growth is basically the process of accepting the discomfort of reaching for something that's at the end of what you can currently do. That's how adaptation works. You have to push yourself slightly past your current level to force adaptations and growth to happen within your body, and that really takes place throughout your entire life. You have to push just a little bit further. You have to be willing to reach for something more than you can currently expect of yourself. And there are going to be times where that's accompanied by failure. And so accept the responsibility that maybe you took a misstep, or maybe the decision that you made wasn't the one that allowed you to reach your desired outcome, and use that as an exciting, motivating challenge to say, okay, well, I could do something more, I could do something different or better to fix it. Learn from the things that you have done that haven't led to the goals that you wanted, instead of just pointing at the reasons why, to make yourself feel better about having to deal with that failure. Failure is a truly incredible thing in its way to teach you. You will learn more from failure than you will from success. And that is something that many successful people have come to understand. And it is much more beneficial to seek growth in a way that opens you up to potentially failing more than it is to just avoid failure by always playing it 100% safe within your own current understanding of what you know for sure you can do 100% of the time. So push yourself, learn to accept some of the responsibility for the decisions that you're making, while also knowing that there's a chance you could fail at those things, or things could come back and not work the way you wanted to. And instead of beating yourself up about it or dismissing your own part that you've played in that, use that as a motivating, challenging source of learning and constructive movement forward, so that you can actually hold on to that agency and make the decisions that are going to help you improve your life, moving towards the goals that you are setting for yourself. That's really it. So thank you guys very much for joining me and for being here through the end of this. I hope that some of you can find something encouraging or inspiring from it to help you take a little bit more control in your own journey, in your own life, and to learn and grow, because we are all capable of growth. We are all worthy of the time and effort it takes to do this, and you owe it to yourself and you owe it to the people that you care about to work on constantly growing and trying to find more fulfillment with your life. I think that is true across the board. So thank you all very much for joining me, and I will talk to you all very soon. Wherever you are, I hope you're having a great day. Bye.